Alright, so you are going to start your MBA journey very soon and you want to get a head start in your placements. So, what is it that you should do in order to stand out? After talking to alumni from Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and XLRI, I have come up with exactly the things that you need in order to get that head start. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First, most important skill that we need to get a grip on is case study competitions. Now, what exactly are these case study competitions, you may ask? To explain better, I need you to imagine you are the CEO of a company facing a major business challenge, and maybe your sales are dropping, maybe competition is heating up, and you need to launch a new product. A case study competition puts you in that exact scenario. So, what is it that needs to be done? You, your team, get a real world business problem and you have to come up with a killer strategy to solve it. Essentially, very simple. These competitions are huge in B schools because they test your problem solving and presentation skills. Fairly straightforward. But what is the advantage of participating in these competitions? The point is that if you win such competitions, you get cash prizes. But more important than that is the fact that you can get a direct internship or a job offer from the organization that is conducting such case study competitions. And very major, big major corporates such as EY, such as HUL conduct a lot of these case studies, and getting a direct job offer can be an absolute gold mine. In addition to that, they become very important CV pointers. So the first question that popped up in my head when I did my first case competition is that what is it that needs to be done? And for this, I would want to share the case that my team and I recently worked on. A big shout out to B Tribe for enabling this competition. So just to give you a brief idea into how a case study competition looks like, I want to share the case that my team and I recently worked on. It was a very interesting case that was talking about Geo AI and the problems that it was facing, such as competition from global players, regulatory hurdles, and so on. And what were we supposed to do? We were supposed to provide solutions to those problems. And specifically, because we had an expertise in finance, we chose the finance domain, wherein we needed to share how much investment would GeoAI need to make and what are the kind of monetization strategies that they would use in order to make more money. So I've also linked the case study down below for those of us who would want to take a deep dive. Now, next is how should we go about developing our case study competition skills? The first thing I need you to do is participate in as many case study competitions as possible. And for that, I need you to go to Unstop and find competitions that would be relevant to you. For example, if we go to the competition section over here and we apply up certain filters that give us case studies, that would help us really find a lot of competitions that we can do. So this is the first pro tip. In addition to that, you can overall explore the portal a little bit in order to find other things that might interest you. So this is the first pro tip I wanted to give you. The next thing is a management consulting essentials course that will help you learn the basics, the absolute basics of consulting, and they'll also help you take a crack at profitability cases, industry analysis cases, market entry, and so on. So the whole goal here is to essentially get you acquainted with the world of consulting, and it should also help us out a lot in order to make better career choices as well. So overall, this is not only going to give you a certification but also essentially a deep dive into this particular area. The next thing, if you're really enthusiastic about this, is that you can go through IIM case books that I'll also be linking down below, and you can go through Harvard Business Review in order to be exposed to even more different kinds of business problems and what kind of innovative solutions could be reached out for those particular problems. So that is the first aspect that I wanted to deal with. The next key skill that will help you stand out is that of networking, and nothing else really screams like a professional network as much as an active LinkedIn profile. So that adds value and builds a community. So I've seen LinkedIn open doors for many people that they would otherwise not be able to pursue. So if you don't have a solid LinkedIn profile yet, now is the time to build one. What are the key things I want you to do? I want you to fine tune your profile headline, your summary for a better visibility. The next thing I want you to do is start engaging with MBA related content and industry leaders. So what this does is this pushes you above in the LinkedIn algorithm and recommends your posts, your profile to more viewers so that you can gain a following, you can build your own personal brand. And I finally want you to reach out to alumni and peers for insights. So what this does is, once you have a very active or a very credible LinkedIn presence, more people would be willing to connect with you. They would be willing to answer your questions. So this opens up a lot of doors for you. So to get a sort of example on a LinkedIn profile, I need you to check out my very own LinkedIn profile that I'll be linking down below. So most important thing I need you to do is see how I've added my experiences, the kind of things I'm talking about in my posts. And the pro tip here is that even if you are even if you are not job hunting, having a well maintained LinkedIn profile helps you stand out for case competitions and internships. So the main point I'm trying to make here is, what happens is, when an individual is being considered for a position wherein they would be paid lakhs, the companies also prefer to see whether the candidate has a solid personal brand or not. So that is one thing I wanted to highlight. How do you get started on this one? A very simple 20-minute YouTube video to get you started on LinkedIn. The link is in the description. Let's move on to the next big thing. Now a quick introduction to the MBA Power Tool that we've all probably used. MS Excel for simple tasks such as tracking our budget or creating a list, etc. But when we jump into an MBA or into the corporate world, Excel and its advanced usage becomes basically fundamental to our daily lives. So Excel is not just a tool, it's a survival skill in an MBA. Whether it's finance, marketing, or consulting, you will be using it. And trust me, the last thing you want is to struggle with a spreadsheet while others breeze through it. So if you're someone who is not sure about the advanced Excel tools such as let's say conditional formatting, index match, pivot tables, or macros is even more advanced. It's fine if we don't know macros, but that adds brownie points if you know how to do that. You should check out one course that I've done myself personally, Excel for Business specialization, that I'm going to be linking down in the description section below. So jumping quickly into what this course has to offer, the first thing is that this course is split into 4 different parts. The first one is essentially a beginner's level, where you will be essentially introduced to the absolute basics. Then you get to the intermediate to an advanced. So you can decide what level of Excel you want to learn. You'll be getting a certification, and I've done this course myself. Very, very well made. I would definitely vouch for this one. So you can blindly trust this course, but I'm sure if you want to opt for, let's say, a free course, you would definitely find a lot of alternatives on YouTube as well. But the main point I'm trying to make is that Excel is absolutely indispensable in your MBA life. And if you know a little bit, a few advanced features, that cannot harm you. It can only make you stronger. So please do go through this and on to the next one. One quick tip I wanted to add to the Excel section was the fact that Excel is also fundamental for people in the finance domain, especially when it boils down to financial models. So I need you to learn specifically Excel for financial modeling. If I find a course in that regard, I'll also be linking that down below. But Excel becomes very fundamental, and people like me who are interested in financial modeling becomes all the more necessary. Hence, Excel becomes all the more important. So up till this part, more or less I knew what was supposed to be done before our MBA journey. But next, my XLRI mentor told me that I needed to look into CV building as well. So I already have a CV, I've already made a CV. But for those of us who have not had a chance to create a CV yet, I want you to reach out to seniors, people who are already working in corporates, that how you can go about building a CV. You need to get the right format. You need to bring out the right competitions, the right achievements, the right kinds of words that you need to be using. You need to be using action words and so on. So that is a very important exercise that begins as soon as you enter the MBA. So if you have some background about this particular thing, it will definitely become a lot easier for you to transition, because you essentially already know what is it that's going to happen in the first couple of months after you join your MBA program. So that is the first part I wanted to touch upon. So some quick CV building tips. The first very important thing is the fact that I need your CV to be 1 pager long. Of course, your initial drafts can be 1.5, 2 pages long, but you have to cut it short. You have to bring it down, and you need to leave out the unnecessary details in order to bring it down to one particular page. Now I'll be sharing a sample format, a professional CV format that you can use to prepare your very own CV, but to have some sort of a draft ready before entering your MBA is going to be very helpful. The next thing is, I need your CV to be properly sectioned. It needs to be properly categorized into different sections. There needs to be an academic section, a or an internship section, your achievements section, your hobbies, Optional again, but hobbies, most people do add it in. The next thing is I need you to quantify your achievements. For example, let's say you're a social media, let's say you're a manager of social media handles. You need to show that you increase traffic by XYZ percentage. Then maybe you manage teams, then you have to say, I manage these many number of people in a particular team, and we were able to increase our output by XYZ% after I took lead. That is one thing you need to address. Then you also need to quantify the metrics in terms of client satisfaction and so on. And of course, sample format I'll be linking down below. One more thing I wanted to add is that you should use action words such as managed, led, strategized, and so on. This gives a very professional feel to the CV. So of course, MBA is a large part of MBA is building your CV. So I don't need you to think that you need your absolute final draft ready before your MBA starts, but just to have a rough draft is something that is gonna come in handy, and it wouldn't leave you startled when the placement committee starts talking about CV building. So that's the first part. The next part, of course, goes without saying. MBA is going to be full of things that would require you to manage your time efficiently. You would have case competitions, you would have academics, quizzes left, right, and center, and you need to socialize as well. There are going to be a lot of parties, so you need to manage your time effectively. Some of the tools that I use are Trello. You can use Notion as well. Then the Google suite of apps is very important so that you can collaborate with others. You need to have a grip on Google Sheets, Google Docs, and Google Calendars. That is something that really helps out. And of course, definitely you are going to have study groups. So in order to collaborate with your peers, you need to have a grip on these very, very essential tools. And how do you go about getting a grip on these? Go ahead, download them and use them. It's as simple as that. And most importantly, I need you to participate, as I said, in case study competitions and try to put these particular tools in use. So that is going to be giving you a hands-on into how things are going to be like once you end up in your dream B school. What else am I personally doing in order to just pass my time before my MBA? Of course, business is something that I'm involved in. I've been involved in it for the past 2 years. But right now, as you can imagine, I'm in the events industry. Things have sort of slowed down because our main season starts from September and wraps around March. Of course, we do have a lot of work, but it has dried down a little bit. So how am I passing my time? Essentially, I love making YouTube videos. That is something that I'm continuing. In addition to that, I've started teaching in at IMS Vadodara. I am teaching I have taught batches of around 300 kids. So that is also something which is helping me build my public speaking abilities. So if you get any such opportunities, you should definitely cling on to those. Get as many different kinds of experiences that will help you make an informed career choice. Make as many mistakes as you can in this period of time, because maybe you don't get that opportunity again. Maybe you do not get that fail safe again, that whatever happens, I have some sort of backup option available. This is the time where we can make those mistakes and learn from them. And last but not the least, I wanted to touch upon the fact that with all the things that I've told you to do, it is not going to take up a lot of your time, probably at max 2 to 3 hours at most. But what is it that you should do? Otherwise, I think the best thing would be to enjoy a little bit, to go on trips, to experience things that you haven't had the chance to experience so far because of, let's say, CAT preparation or because of interview preparation. Then going to different cities for interviews, it takes a huge mental toll on your mental health. So I do understand that, and I'm going to be doing the most my level best. I'm going to enjoy after my stint with IMS gets over. I'm going to take a few trips. And that is essentially something I would encourage for you to do as well, because once MBA starts, it's going to be a hectic season. And for the first entire year, essentially, I don't think we will also enjoy getting a lot of sleep. So I think all this said, all the things that I've told you to do, or even some things that I'm gonna be doing, I already did partake in a case competition very recently. Let's see what those results are gonna say. But essentially, my main point is that you can chill out a little. For the people who are not working, for the people who are working, you already know what you're doing, how your day is gonna look like. But essentially, that is the main point that I'm trying to make. So that's a little bit from my side. And if you like this one, please do consider subscribing. And bye bye.